Well, joining me now is Zoe Hilton, a Senior Policy Analyst for the Centre for Independent Studies. Zoe, thanks for joining me. I asked this question of Garth, but I'm interested to get your perspective of this. What's the point of dropping net zero but staying in the Paris Agreement?
So I think we should definitely take this as a big win that net zero has actually been ditched by both the Nats and the Liberals now. And I think, look, massive credit to Matt Canavan in the Nats, Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price, Andrew Hastie and all the other politicians who really showed conviction and stuck to what they believed was best for the country, even when it seemed like it wasn't the best thing in a short-term political sense. They were willing to stick with their convictions, and I think that that's really been shown in this decision. That being said, I think there still is this sort of soft acceptance that, we need to keep emissions reduction targets on the table, which is why they're deciding to stick with staying in Paris Agreement. So that does raise a few questions, because if we still have targets and if we're required to ratchet them up continuously, which seems to be the case, then what does that mean for things like transmission planning? Because those targets, once they're legislated, they go into the regulatory system and they result in multi-billion-dollar projects being approved, and that goes on to consumer bills. So I think I'd be interested to see what would end up happening once the coalition does eventually get back into government. What do they do with those targets, and do they actually end up making them lax enough that we don't have all of these projects that we don't actually need economically in our system, which would push up prices?
Exactly. And I mean, being part of Paris means actually having these targets and working towards these targets. So that was my confusion as well. What's the point of being half in and half out? But I absolutely agree with you. I mean, this is a good start at least. Susan Lee's been quite coy on how much power bills will go down by. But when you compare the costs of Labor's renewables-only approach and actually getting to net zero, our power bills will just keep going up and up, won't they?
Yes, it's very clear, and we've done some research on this, the renewables honeymoon is over as we've gotten more and more renewables, just like all the other countries that have gotten to relatively high penetration of wind and solar in their systems. Prices do continue to go up. There are no high wind and solar, low-cost countries. They just don't exist. So what that means is, as Labor's policy continues to be enacted, and I mean, we've heard from Chris Bowen, he's literally said this on the record, he wants to lock in this transition so no future government can undo it. That means that if the coalition does get back into government, will they be able to unravel all of these transmission projects that are going to come onto consumers' bills in the next several years and cause even higher price spikes? Will they be able to unravel capacity investment scheme contracts, which I think are going to be about 20 years for these wind and solar developers that are being paid taxpayer dollars? All of these things mean that these are long-term commitments. So a government coming in, they're not necessarily going to be able to make prices come down in the short term straight away. But the sooner we turn this ship around, the better. So the sooner we refurbish our coal assets, we build new coal units, we build new coal plants, and potentially even if we can lift the nuclear ban, we can build nuclear stations. The sooner we can do that, the sooner we get dispatchable capacity into the system and stop building renewables, the faster our bills will be able to come down.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think every Aussie is waiting for. They've gone up around 40% under Labor on the renewables-only fantasy, and it will be great to open a bill and actually goes in the downwards trajectory. Zoe Hilton, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Really appreciate it.